Hey, and welcome back to the next episode of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right-hand drives. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And welcome to episode 142. And we're back at it. We got the guest.
Yep.
Always love the guest. It's been really cool talking to different people around the United States and on the other side of the world. It's really been kind of cool getting their perspective on the car culture.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet because it is everywhere.
It really is. You know, maybe as, Lucho would say, it's not as big or as great as it is in Japan, but it is everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
This guy we had on tonight, I started following him on Instagram like a while ago now, and the dude has a pretty cool collection of cars.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure as all of our listeners could guess, what type of cars does he have?
Give you three guesses.
R32, R33, R34.
There it is.
And so tonight we have on Brad Nielson. Hopefully I said that correctly. And I believe he is from Utah.
Yeah, that's where I see him out.
I think it said Ogden, Utah.
Utah.
Yeah, that's cool. We definitely have now not had a guy on from Utah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And dude, it's pretty cool how you can just kind of be randomly scrolling on Instagram and suddenly find, these like-minded people everywhere.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And it's cool to have them on and to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, I agree. So this is episode 142 with Brad Nielson, a.k.a. RivalGTR. All right, and we're back with Brad. What's up, Brad?
Hey, how's it going, dudes?
Pretty good, man.
It's really weird that we're on different sides of the country and we've literally never talked before now, except for like 5 messages back and forth about setting this up. And now we get to learn about each other for the whole internet to see.
Yeah, it is. It is beautiful the way that the internet has been able to connect people that at one point, it was a collect call, realistically.
Yeah, I'm 43, so I've got like somewhere. Okay, right here, I've got a floppy disk.
Oh wow!
That is a Greek coaster, and somebody came to my house and their kid was like, "Dude, is that a 3D printed save button?" And I was like my gray hair showing.
Wow.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I was about to say, some of our followers or listeners probably don't even know what that is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they have no idea. It's a thing you used to put in your computer.
Brad, so, on that point of, not even really knowing each other, can you tell us and the listeners just about, like, who you are, where you're at, like, how you kind of got to where you are currently?
Yeah, so, like we said, my name is Brad Nielson, RivalGTR on Instagram, the Rival Garage on YouTube. And I am the proud owner of 5 Skyline GTRs, 2 R34s, an R33, and 2 R32s, and 1,175 wheel horsepower R35 GTR that is currently for sale. Get at me, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a big deal. That's some horsepower. Okay. Damn, never had anybody have the buttons too.
Yeah, so I was actually employee number 71 at Zoom Video Communications. So I started working there in 2015. And the thing I like to bring up with my dad is right before I moved to Colorado to go work for Zoom, he came over and he's like, "Hey, you've kind of got a good job now. Are you sure you want to take a chance on this startup?" And I'm like, "I think it's going to be good." And little did I know like how good it was going to be, but I ended up being wealthy. I retired last February. I'm probably going to start working again because I'm bored out of my mind, and there's only so much Apex Legends video games you can play. But I think I'm going to start working again just because I'm bored, which is the weirdest flex. But
that's cool, though. I mean, realistically.
Yeah. So in 2019, what I like to tell people is I became a millionaire and I drove DoorDash the same month. Like I guess I was Uber Eats, but I was delivering people's food for them. I like had a kid. I had 2 jobs, and then the money finally came through, and it was a really cool thing. It was really funny because originally I was a Fox body guy. I had a couple Fox bodies.
Hell yeah.
In the early 2000s. Yeah, dude. Yeah, still have a couple Fox bodies with my brother, but I had an automatic Mustang that I put like a diesel sized turbo on, and it's like a normal thing now. But you just take the exhaust from the right side and the left side, swap them, and they bolt right up, and they just go forward. You build a Y, and you got a turbo. And so I had a Mustang that was running 10s in the early 2000s, which if you're old, that like if you had like a 13-second car in the early 2000s, that was pretty quick.
Sure.
And I was running high 10s. So then me and my brother, we were in like bands my whole life. Like we were in a heavy metal band called Fire in the Skies. We quit doing music in 2011. And the funny thing about that is like we were big on MySpace, but MySpace is just gone.
It's wild.
Yeah, so like Tom from MySpace put one of our songs on his page.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, it was. I woke up and thought somebody died because I had so many text messages. But we had like label interest, and we ended up signing with a record label that had Sony distribution. So we were in like Hot Topic and Best Buy, but nobody buys records. And I was 30 years old, and we had a tour cancel, and I was completely broke, and I just can't do music anymore. And I just started applying for every job that I possibly could. Ended up getting a job for a company called Polycom. They're called Poly now, but they make those triangle conference phones. And
okay.
They also sell like video communications. So that's kind of how I got to Zoom. But I went to my interview with skinny jeans and like a varsity jacket for no reason other than rock star stuff. And I think that the guy just wanted to work with a rock star because I had at the time what I called LSD, which is lead singer disorder. Just so much confidence, because I was the singer of a band, and so I was like, yeah, this dude's gonna hire me, and he did. And it was the end of like we walk into training, and I'm once again wearing skinny jeans, and everybody's in a suit, and I was like, oh no, dude, this is a real job. Like, so they like pulled me aside at the end of the first day, and the guy's like, hey, I had no idea you were so green. I really need you to step up and prove me right. So I'm like a lifelong athlete. I played sports all growing up. I'm 6'4", so being in the Skylines is always funny because I just look like an ogre when I get out. But so I'm really competitive. So I just learned everything I could and busted my butt and got really good at selling video communications. And then Zoom started to come up, and I actually emailed their head of sales every 2 weeks for an entire year before he was like, fine, stop emailing me and I will get you in front of a recruiter. And I ended up getting the job. We moved to Colorado for a year, moved back. Then, when it comes to like a startup tech company, you're not really working for your salary. So your salary isn't typically a ton, but how you're really paid is in like shares of stock. Mm-hmm. So, I had a bunch of stock, and Zoom was not a public company when I started. So they were going public in March. I had my kid in March. And like I said, like I was performing poorly at work, just, like I had the same patch. And if you're in sales, like just trying to sell to the same people over and over again, eventually it goes dry. So I kind of like bled my territory out, and I was just struggling to hit my numbers. So I wasn't really making much money. And, but it was such a bummer because I knew I had this stock thing coming, and then finally, like we go public, and I changed positions at work. I actually got hired to be on the healthcare team, which would be amazing in 2020 because I was the only person at Zoom in my position during the beginning of the pandemic. So,
oh wow, that's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. Like I can't even like put into words. I was printing money in my basement for several months. But like it was funny, like the week before or the month before like the pandemic really popped off, my boss calls me and he was like, hey, I'm gonna add headcount to your team, you know. And I was like, dude, I got this, like please don't, you know. It was like 4 days into the pandemic, and I like calm with my like Rambo thing on, like my Rambo headband on, and I'm like, hire everybody that's applying, I can't do this alone. And but the stocks, the stock, we went public, and the bummer is when your company goes public, you can see the money, you can see the amount of money you got, but you can't touch it for another 6 months. So like it was like a mega bummer. But I was actually like looking on eBay for like fast turboed Fox bodies, and in the early 2000s, you know, I like the Fast and the Furious, and I was like watching Initial D as the episodes were coming out, and you know, I was always just in love with just like the car culture, like in general, you know. And then the Fast and the Furious came out, and I spent like $1 million on cars because of that stupid movie. But like, you know, like I would get on the internet, and you know, back then there wasn't YouTube, so we would have to just search the internet and download stuff on LimeWire, and you know, give our computer STDs to try to, you know, get videos of Skylines. And I was buying like the option DVDs from Japan, and really, like, you know, there was like a video of like an R33 and an R34 drag racing in Japan, and they just looked so fast, and it just was like so unbelievable. And at the time I was a general manager at a Pizza Hut, and I was like, I will never afford to get one of these, because you know, at the time there was only Motorex, you could import them, but they were really expensive. And there's financing options available now for you to get JDM cars. Back then there wasn't, so people were like refinancing their houses, and I was like, when am I ever going to have enough cash on hand to like buy these cars? And so I fell in love with the R34. There's the Amuse Supra versus the Mines R34 on a track in Japan. And when the Drift King is driving it, you're like, my mind was exploding because it was so fast. Like he just couldn't. It's like, I can't believe how fast this revs. I can't believe, you know, all these things. And I just like honestly fell in love with that car. And I went to SEMA that year, and there was a bunch of them there. And I just remember, like, I'm even getting goosebumps now just like thinking back on it. But I remember seeing my first like R34 and just having like actual emotions. Like I'm in love with this car. You know, like I want to marry it.
Definitely felt that.
Yeah, and you know, then, you know, fast forward a gang of years, and I was looking at like Mustangs and Teslas, and I was watching, you know, I was watching 1320 videos of Fox bodies and Teslas, and like what am I doing? I want a Skyline. Like, let's buy a Skyline. So I did a ton of research online on, you know, YouTube, and granted, I had been out of the car world for, you know, 15 years, so much had changed, and so I really didn't really know what I was doing. And I found a shop that's based out of Virginia called Driver Motorsports. I got a relationship with them, and I bought my first R32 through them, but they bought it from Top Rank in Japan. We got it over here, and I flew out there in 2019 and drove it, and we kind of like made plans. We were going to do the Garage Active wide body kit. We were just going to do like a 2.8 liter and, you know, do some cool things with it. Then the pandemic happened, and everything kind of stopped, and my money was up. And so, like, you know, we were getting it ready to go to SEMA in 2020, but that I knew it was going to get canceled like right off. Because, you know, in like the tech world and the sales world, if you've ever worked it, you know that like 1 o'clock on a Friday, nobody emails you back. Anybody that's signing a check, they quit working. You're not hearing from them. And it was like the Friday before the world shut down. I just started getting all these emails, and I got off work, and I was like, hey babe, I think shit's about to get weird. Like,
you were so right.
Real weird. Yeah. And then I woke up on Monday, and I just had like 4 million emails, and everybody, the sales cycle was out the window. The buying process is out the window. I was basically just sending quotes and they were signing them and sending them back. I was literally like, no, I wasn't selling anything, you know? And the interesting thing was, and I know that this isn't Zoom, or this isn't a talk about Zoom, but like, it was really weird because Zoom, we were the heroes for like 2.5 weeks. And then these hit pieces started coming out about Zoom getting hacked and all these things. So all of a sudden I was doing calls with, you know, security and trying to make sure that Zoom was actually safe when, you know, realistically, like Zoom never had a data breach. When Zoom meetings were getting hacked, it was old ladies and, you know, church people posting their Zoom link on the internet, which is basically a sign pointing, hey, teenagers, you want to show your penis to 300 people in church? Here's your chance. So, and we weren't allowed to say that. We were just supposed to say, yeah, we're working on it, you know? And so just to go that flip-flop of, you know, being the heroes to being like, and also everybody in my life was like, hey, I got a question about Zoom. And I'm like, bro, I cannot talk about Zoom at all.
I'm zoomed out, man.
I am thinking about it because I was literally waking up at 6 and working until like 8 p.m. every night. And I was literally just like sending quotes and just doing that. So all the back to the car. So everything just got like pushed back. You know, my order with Hypertune ended up taking like 9 months. I ordered like a 6-to-1 collector from some company in Sweden, and that got pushed way back. And we were like, what should we do? And so we found an RB30. Everything just kind of grew and grew and grew, and then we put it on air. So I got this like $12,500 Tiedemann air suspension kit, which is for sale if you want it.
Damn, okay.
But you know, we put it on air and just, you know, just like went overboard with like I just wanted that car to be the coolest R32 that ever existed. And like realistically, it was. Sadly, it didn't function. But so I bought that car, and then I bought an R35 GTR because I was like, yo, I'm dailying a Prius right now. Am I going to go from this to like a 900 horsepower R32? You know? So the obvious thing to do is buy a 600 horsepower GTR. And I was like, I'm never going to buy an R33. They're cool, but I'll probably never get one. But then I was making so much money. I was like, find me an R33 and find
Just
me an
like
R34.
that.
Find me another R34. And I ended up buying a Midnight Purple 2 R34 that was on the show and display. So I've actually had that car here since 2019. And, you know, when you get a show and display car, you work with the NHTSA, I believe is what it is. And they like have to approve you to own the car. So like when Peter Colt was doing like a giveaway with like one of those cars, I was like, how's this going to work? Like, what if the government's like, no, we're not giving this to an 8-year-old.
Interesting.
But you're only allowed to drive it to shows and like 2,500 miles a year. And I thought like, that's going to be tough. I think I'm going to struggle only putting 2,500 miles on that car. But then that car comes and I'm like, this is the most terrifying car to drive because one, people have like real crazy reactions to a Midnight Purple 2 car. Like, I'm not even kidding. I have had 3 grown men cry in parking lots.
Dude,
looking at it. And, you know, and I get it, you know, like only one of them really made sense. The other one, it was like in front of his kids. And I was like, dude, my dad cried in front of me when I was 12. Sorry, Pops. And I remember that, like, vividly. You're going to remember that. You're going to be fighting with someone like 70. It's like, you remember when you cried about a car? It was purple. You know? But that car, you know, its value is so much. And it's, you know, I've got it relatively modded. I did this versus that and got stomped on by a Tesla. You know? Yeah. I mean, I knew I was going to get beat. You know, like it's hard to beat a microwave in a drag race when the microwave has perfect traction and all you have to do is floor it. Seriously. I think the most insulting thing is the guy was like, "It's a Tesla Plaid." I'm like, "You mean plaid? You don't even know what it's called?"
He said it played.
Sounds like he got played.
And then he just destroys me because those cars are just ignorantly fast, which is why I have a 1,200 horsepower R35. I call it the Tesla tune. you know.
Oh, dang.
See a Tesla and you're like, what's up, pal? Let's run this back. But, you know, that car was pretty modded. It's got a 64, 66 Gen 2, and a Haltech, because, you know, Haltech is great. I run a Haltech in every one of my cars except for my white R34, and I've actually got a Haltech for it back here in a box. I'm about to put that on because I go to the track in that car, and those cars have a speed limit of 200 kilometers an hour. So I was on the front straight at Utah Motorsports campus, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, and I thought I blew up my car.
Dude, that same thing happened to me in my car the other day. I hit the speed limiter for the first time. I thought I broke it. It scared the shit out of me.
Allegedly,
so bad.
allegedly. He allegedly hit speed limit in his car. Which car is it?
An R32. It's got a S15 SR20 in it.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you just have like the stock ECU in it?
Yeah. It's completely bone stock, just an exhaust and intercooler, stuff like that. Nothing crazy.
That's really cool. I think I might get an S15 for a track car. As much as I love tracking my R34, it'd be cool to just have a rear-wheel drive car. But people are going to hate this. I'm going to find one with a bad motor so I could put an LS in it, because you can make 400 horsepower reliably at the track, and when something breaks, you get the part from O'Reilly. You know, like
for a track, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so I'm not out here trying to, you know, flex on anybody with an S15.
You're breaking all the fanboys' hearts out here, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. You know, but you know, I've got these cars, and you know, I probably have the most tracked R34 this side of the world. You know, it goes to the track at least once a month, typically twice. I take it to NASA track days, and I always tell people that owning an R34 is a serious cheat code, because I just take a helmet with me when I go to like my brother's drift events. And I go up to the promoter, and I'm like, hey, you mind if I get on track and just chase them around with the camera on the front of my car? And they're like, an R34 on track, you got a helmet? I'm like, I do. And they're like, yeah, man, go out. Go ahead. Do your thing. You know, so
that's cool.
I get on track all the time for that kind of stuff. And I get invited for like private track rentals all the time. So I'm out as often as I can in that car, just because it's such a great car. Like I was out this Sunday, and it's stock power. It's got the stock ECU, stock twins. It's only got a 𝐷eady suction kit and a Ganador titanium exhaust that is really quiet. The thing that makes it really cool about the really quiet exhaust is the turbos whistle a lot. And then through the exhaust, you hear a ton of boost noise. So it's not loud, but it just sounds really, really, really unique.
So you got that R34, and it's pretty much a stock tune, right? And you have other built cars. What makes that R34 that's stock like that much better? Or which one do you prefer?
I mean, so this is I'm really glad you asked that question. It's stock power. My tuner just barely dynoed an R34 that had a catback like mine has and a 𝐷eady suction kit like mine has. And on all four wheels, it did 251 horsepower. And we're at, 4,200 feet elevation here in Utah. So it's down from what it would be at sea level. But I really like what I love about that car is that the air conditioner works. It starts every time. It's not loud, so like my wife will actually ride in it with me. It's our date night car. Right now, it's got 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 get them off because she doesn't like riding it with those on it because the car's so quiet that you just hear the road noise.
Oh, yeah.
But something I like, if you are building a car, look at me right in the eyes, people. Look at me. Don't let your stomach tell you need 1,000 horsepower, because you don't. My favorite car to drive, I've got my 750 horsepower R32. I've got another 32 that's not running. I've got a 1,200 horsepower R35. I've got like a 700 horsepower R34 and a 450 horsepower R33 and a stock R34. My two favorite cars to drive are my R33 because it starts every time, because it's got upgraded turbos. catback exhaust, stock EC or stock intercooler. Like it's very mild. You know, it's just turned up when I put ethanol in it. Having 1,000 horsepower is really cool. It is awesome to, you know, go on your Instagram and your Facebook and post 1,200 horsepower. People get jealous, and you know. But at the end of the day, that car, my R35, and I don't blame the builder at all because the builder does a great job. But my R35 has broke down a ton. It had injectors fail. It had a pump fail. It like was breaking wastegates. You know, like the turbos failed. Like it has just been kind of a pain to get here. So I'm selling it because I am done with it. I'm sure it's going to be a great car once it comes back from the shop this last time. And so when you have it, whoever buys it, you're going to love it. But, you know, I got to wash my hands of that car. But what I'm saying is something that's better than having 1,000 horsepower is having a car that runs and drives every single time. People ask me all the time, you know, what mod should I do to my Skyline? You know, and I ask them what their goal is. And if they say my goal is 1,000 horsepower, I say, cool, what's your budget? And they tell me, and I'm like, well, what you need to budget is you need to budget 2 motors. You need to budget 2 transmissions, because on your path to getting there, chances are you're going to make some mistakes. And I know the internet wants you to think that the RB26 can handle 1,000 horsepower. It can't. I mean, it can, but you know, you're kind of just flirting with disaster when you're pushing that much power through it. My rule of thumb with a stock Skyline motor is keep the boost under 20 psi and keep it under 450 horsepower at the wheels. You know, there's a lot of super guys out that are like, I do that in my sleep. Well, that's cool. You do that in your sleep. Come to the track. Let's do a bunch of laps. Let's see who's got a faster lap time. You'll beat me in the straights, but I'll catch you in the corners. And also, my car's going to run at the end of the track day. You know, and you know, I literally, like, I tell people all the time, I talk people out of spending so much money because you don't need that. Like my stock turbos on my R34, yes, a dude in like a C6 Corvette. It wasn't even a Z06. He beat me on the freeway the other day. I don't care. I don't care. Allegedly. Once again, allegedly, it was a little on the freeway. But you know, I don't need to be the fastest car out there. You don't need to be the fastest car out there. What you need to have is a car that starts all the time, that's reliable, that you can take your girlfriend for a ride in. And I think the biggest thing, do not get a Skyline to get girls. Get a Skyline if you want to get dudes.
You're going to get dudes. If you get a Skyline, you're getting dudes.
Yeah, you pull into the parking lot and you just see, you know, that picture of that guy with his arm around his girl just mansplaining. You know,
yeah.
It's like one of my favorite things to do is like drive past and then like look in my rearview mirror, and I just see the dude talking to his girlfriend. He's like, other side of the car, that car, Paul Walker. It's incredible.
Yeah,
you know, like it's occasionally a girl is into it, but mostly it's dudes. You know, and a lot of time it's older dudes.
Yeah, I do like it when the kids can, you know, like notice it and get excited about it. You know, the kids that still can be the next generation of these car owners, hopefully.
Yeah, and you know, to like piggyback on that racing channel came out. Shout out that racing channel. Javier's the man, and his team is really great. But they came out to do a story on actually PPC. That's who builds my R35. They've got several 2,000 horsepower plus cars that go to TX2K, and they're just insane. They came out here to do a story on him and to come out and film all of my cars. And we went to a gas station here. And the joke I always make with the R34 is like, you can pull up to get gas and there's nobody in the parking lot. You go in to get a drink and you come back out and magically there's like 6 people standing around your car. So
true.
I said that to them and that literally happened, you know? And we walked back out to my car and some kid goes, man, this is the car from Rocket League. And they just had like a DLC for R34s to be in Rocket League. And one of the guys that was there, not with that racing channel, he was one of the guys that was just there with me. He's like, man, that bums me out. I was like, why, dude? Like that's the next generation that would not know about this car because the Fast and Furious is about putting rockets on Fieros now. It's not about racing Skylines. You know, like the next generation of kids see this and now they know this and then they look into it and then they saw my car and they're like, whoa, these cars are pretty cool. So yeah, the next generation, it is really cool when, you know, like I pull up someplace and just a bunch of kids are like, oh my God, it's a GTR. I'm like,
Yeah.
Rival GTR. You know? It's actually like my favorite because my name is Brad Nielson, which is literally the most vanilla name of all time. I'll be at a car show and some kid will come up all cool. He's like, yo, are you Rival? I'm like, you goddamn right I'm Rival. How you friends?
It's pretty aggressive, actually.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's way better than Brad. You know?
So which shops built these cars though? I know you said PPC for the 35.
Yeah, so I worked with PPC for my R35. It's got the Boost Logic 1050X turbos in it, and it's incredible. It hits boost so fast. It's boost pretty close to stock for having 1,200 horsepower. It's pretty incredible. So I worked with them on that. I currently have two shops. They're actually together, and they're here in Utah. It's Mara Sport. The owner of that is Sheldon Mara. He has been a crew chief for a Red Bull rally team. He's been to like World Time Attack. Damn. He's really, really, really knowledgeable. And then in his same shop, there's Derek, who runs D-Rec Motorsports. And Derek is kind of like a jack of all trades. Sheldon is an amazing fabricator, an amazing mechanic. And they both are, but Sheldon is much more about the race car stuff. Derek is kind of just more everything and tuning. He's one of those guys that you're like, hey, what you listening to? He's like, I'm listening to this podcast about tuning. And I'm like, I'm so glad you exist. I can't listen to 5 minutes of it, let alone hours and hours and hours. So that's who currently works on my car, and they're currently cleaning up the disaster, which is my R32, my SEMA car. So in 2022, my black garage active wide body R32 kind of blew up the internet. It kind of stole SEMA. It was honestly like a dream come true because that car had been being built since 2019, and you know, due to COVID and you know, I've got relationships with like previous employees that you know have beef with them, so they're kind of like letting me in on the information. But you know, they were taking parts from my car and putting them on other customer cars while they were waiting, and so things were getting backed up. Cams got lost, like just a bunch of stuff like that. But when it got to SEMA, you know, I roll up and the paint job is pretty much perfect. I knew the side skirts were messed up. The shop that did it didn't like mold the side skirts on before they painted them. So they were just like double-sided tape on there. And then they were cracked because I believe like one of them fell off in shipping and they didn't want to tell me about that. But so it's there, and I tried to drive it out of SEMA, and it died like 100 feet out. And Art from Vibrant, he's a great dude. He's no longer with Vibrant, but he came up and he told me, he's like, hey, there is a massive pool of oil and fuel under where your car was, you know. And I talked to the Driver Motorsports dudes about it, and I have a screenshot showing this. And also, by the way, everything that I talk about with this car, I've got receipts, screenshots, and everything.
Okay.
Because I just need everybody to know this is the truth. I'm not like fabricating any of this. It seems unbelievable because of how bad it is. But I was like, hey, there's a big leak of oil under my car. And they were like, yeah, they've got AN lines on it. And, you know, if you heat cycle AN lines like 2 or 3 times, they just start leaking. And I was like, I'm not getting into this with you over the internet, but I have several cars with AN lines that don't do that because that's specifically why you use AN lines.
What?
Yeah, so the car went back to Virginia, and they were going to get the tune fixed and, you know, wrap up the small little things that needed to get done. And the owner of Driver and I kind of had some beef because on my Midnight Purple 2 R34, they installed the sandwich plate backwards on the oil relocation kit.
Whoa.
So the inlet and the outlet were backwards. So it said it had a ton of oil pressure when it, you know, who knows how much oil pressure it actually had, which is a lot of the reason why that car was leaking oil, because there was that big backup right there. luckily, we found it, and the motor probably could use a refresh because there's quite a bit of glitter in the oil. But when we brought it up with them, they were like, we didn't do it. The oil relocation kit was on it when it got here, but I've got pictures of the car sitting, or the motor sitting out with no oil relocation kit attached to it that they sent me. So you guys took it off, and regardless of who did that, you guys reinstalled it, and it was backwards. And so Sheldon reached out to them and was like, hey, this is backwards. And they're like, that's impossible. Here's the guide that we used. And they sent us the install kit for the Greddy oil relocation kit. And in the Greddy one, it was backwards. So they made a mistake because, they made a mistake because they used the wrong installation guide to help. Yeah, and so like I called their mechanic and I was like, dude, what is going on? And then Chris, the owner, he sent me this nasty email who's like, you called my rep or my tech and you were yelling at him, which I wasn't. I love you, Devin, and I love you. You were yelling at him and this and that, and that's my business. And I replied to him and I was like, well, it was installed backwards, and I'm sorry that I disrespected your business, but he's like, I'm going to start charging you $100 a day until you come and get your car in Virginia. Wow. We ended up like getting on a call, and I thought we like squashed the beef. I like came back with my hat in my hand. I'm like, look, man, I'm not going to get crazy. Like, I'm sorry I disrespected your business. What I would like is for you guys to finish my car and ship it out here. And he's like, we can do that. Then time goes by. They're not working on my car. I get a message from their tech, and he's like, hey, here's the guys here to pick up your car. They sent me videos of it getting loaded on the car. And he took a bunch of pictures like they do of the wheels and of all this kind of stuff. And there was like new scratches on it from when it was sitting there. The wheels were all jacked up, and I like reached out and I was like, hey, these wheels are messed up. Was that Transit or was that you guys? And like, it's Transit. So I walked right up to the guy and I was like, hey, they're saying you did this. And he's like, no, here's the pictures. So they send the car to me, and like, he could not start it in the trailer. Like, it took so long to start. And then when it did start, it sounded like a lawnmower, not a car. And it ended up, we got it backed out and we got it pulled into the driveway. The windows wouldn't roll up and down. So the glass was down and it was raining. So like I had to push it under a tree until more people could come to help me push it in. The alignment was so bad. Like, it was just, honestly, it feels like it's on purpose. But so I called them and I was like, hey, it's not running. And they're like, it's probably out of gas. It's really thirsty. And so we put 5 gallons in, and it was, still did the same thing, wouldn't start. We finally got it to start, but it sounded so bad that we killed it. We pushed it on the trailer. We drove it to my shop, and I had bought my white R34 through Top Rank. So it was in Japan getting stored. And, because previously when I was like, hey, you messed my car up, he started wanting to charge me $100 a day for storage until I went and got my car. I did not want any drama with that car if I like kind of went public with this. So the second that car got here, we kind of went public with everything with this car. But if you're wondering, why did you wait a year to do that? It's because this dude is a spiteful man. Because I made my story public, I'm not even kidding. I've probably had 15 people reach out that have had serious issues with their cars that they got from there. The only way Chris, and this is speculation because this is what people have said to me, and multiple people have actually said this. He says, I will give you X amount of dollars to help you fix your car if you'll sign an NDA. And, and he also threatens litigation if they say anything bad, which is another reason why everything that I say is strictly by the book, because you want to sue me, bro, the countersuit is going to be insane. Like, it's going to be nasty because I made a lot of mistakes. I'm literally $400,000 into that car. Yeah. Sakamoto-san, the owner of Garage Active, he's like, I could have built you a car for 150. You know, this was years ago. You know, so it would have been considerably less to do it, but you know, like I wanted everything to just be perfect and kind of over the top, and you know, I think they got in over their head. You know, I've got a video on my YouTube channel, and I'm sure these guys can link it. But it's like my $400,000 SEMA car disaster. What it really seems like is they were busting their butts to try to get it ready to just start and go to SEMA, and they probably had intentions to fix the car, but they never got back to it because they knew they were going to have to charge me labor for the exact same stuff twice. The wiring on it was insane. Like there was cables that didn't, or there was connectors that didn't, like weren't the same connectors, that were like stuffed in places. There was wires coming out of connectors going into other connectors, so it would short. They ran the fuel lines through the cabin, and
sweet.
Like they didn't put any grommets on it, so it was just rubber on AN lines that are gonna, you know, leak after I heat cycle a car a couple times.
Right.
But right next to that, they ran the power to the fuel pumps. There was like a cable running from the amplifier for the subs straight over to the fuel pump. Like that's how bad this was. Like,
wow, dude.
It honestly felt like it was on purpose. We actually pulled all the interior out. We pulled the dashboard out. It's got a Nexus R5 in it. And they added a bunch of fuses to it. The Nexus is a PDM, so you don't really need fuses. Just, you know, like a bunch of Bush League stuff. They charged me $1,200 for speaker grills that they didn't even talk to me about. They just like got these machined speaker grills and put them in the door.
What the heck?
I don't know. Yeah.
This is the car with the infinity taillights, right?
Yeah, it's my car with the infinity taillights.
Yeah.
And a way overkill fuel system. Like it's got a mechanical pump and, you know, tons of pumps in the trunk. And it was really, really cool looking, but it was just so overly complicated. And Julian from Aftermarket Industries is a freaking wizard when it comes to fuel systems. So he hit me up and he's like, hey, can I please build you a fuel system? So once that car is ready to go, we've got an amazing fuel system set up. And I'm really, really, really excited to have that car running again. The steering wheel had like rattled off, like all the bolts had like fallen out. So when I got it, like I had to like find bolts on the ground. And he's like, yeah, transport's hell for that car. And I was like, dude, why are all these things falling out? But like literally anything that you could possibly think was wrong, like was wrong. So many cracks from like probably somebody pushing the car up by the taillight. So like the fender, the RFP front fender is like cracked. They tried to run like I said, the switches for the windows to go up and down off of the Nexus, and they couldn't figure it out. So they just sent it to me with them down. Yeah. So I spent $400,000 on a car. And I drove it before anything was done to it. I drove it 100 feet at SEMA, and then I drove it like 15 feet at my house before it just died and never ran again. Before you guys kill me in the comments, I know I made mistakes. You know?
Yeah, it's good to be able to admit
I had a lot of trust, you know, like I was really good friends with those guys. And I still think that Ed, I think he's still there. He's awesome, dude. Like Ed is awesome. I haven't talked to him since all this shit went down, and it sucks because I really like Ed. And the guy that did all the fab work on my car, his name's Devin. Devin, you need to work at a different shop because you are too good to be there.
You're better than us.
Yes, you are. And you know, I know that like none of them wanted to send the car out. You know, like I've got a couple of former employees that have like talked to me about things with that car, and they're like, if you ever sue them, I will go on the stand gladly. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But the motor was in such bad shape. Like there was like detonation stuff on the pistons, like, and the sides were the piston walls were all scored like bad. And they said they never dynoed the car, even though they sent me pictures of it on the dyno and sent me messages about it being on the dyno. They said how that happened was the transporter revving it too much to get it onto the trailer.
Oh, shucks. He revved it to
Yeah.
the classic transporter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude. Yeah. It's got a Hollinger 6-speed sequential in it. And
Oof,
my other R32 that's named Jeff, it has a Samsonis sequential. And they are both RB30s stroked with 3.2. So I was really excited to race these cars against each other. But they also built the motor that was in Jeff, and that car is currently down. We did the last oil change, and there was aluminum in the oil filter. We kind of knew that car was on borrowed time. I bought it from my buddy Jeff. Jeff is an awesome dude, and I bought the car from him, and he had the work done at Driver, and he has some real issues with them because the things that they did to that car before I bought it. But they did the assembly on that motor, so I kind of felt like it was just going to blow up whenever it was going to blow up. So that car is just sitting. But what I'm doing right now is Platinum Racing Products. They have brand new cast RB26s. And so currently Platinum Racing Products is building me two 2.8 liters, and they're going to send them here, and we're going to install them in those bad dads. And I'll stop tracking my R34 and start tracking my yellow R32. It's literally, its modification list is so big. It's got everything done to it. It's got 437 final drive gears. So there's a video of me racing a Hellcat, and it's a very short clip. It's like, like just, it goes through the gears so fast. But I'm really excited to track that car because it's like built for that. But yeah, so what I should have done is I should have made trips to Virginia regularly. I probably should have been out there every month and a half, 2 months, just to check up on what things were doing. But, you know, I'm married. I got a wife. I got 3 kids. You know, I was working at the time. And so, like, I just had so much going on in my life. So, and there's no direct flights there. So,
shoot, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
I got the whole thing. Like, I'm not that moneyed up, but I looked at flying private once. I was like, man, maybe I should fly private out there. But I should have gone out there. You know, I think if you're a good shop, you know, I know you guys had UP Garage on the pod. Those guys are awesome. I think a good shop is going to talk you down and be like, hey, I see that you want a billet RB30 stroked with 3.2, and I know you want 2,000 horsepower, and you think you're going to drive it on the street. Let's back that up quite a bit. You know, like,
I agree.
Just do 450 horsepower and drive it. You know, like 450 horsepower. Honestly, you're fast enough. You'll beat up on SS Camaros, the Mustangs. If you're going less than 60 miles an hour, you'll dumpster Hellcats because they just spin. You know, like, you'll be surprised at what cars you'll beat at 450 horsepower in an R32, R33, or R34. And that car is going to be reliable. You know, if I could go back, you know, I probably still would have gone really hard, but I would have done it with, 1, a better shop, but 2, I would have looked in the mirror and been like, what do you want? Like, not what the internet wants, you know, because I think that's something that we all get wrapped up in, is like, how many followers is this car going to get me? You know, like, I'm against buying subscribers and buying followers on stuff, but I bought $1 million worth of Skylines, which is basically buying followers. So.
That's pretty wild, man. Wild marketing strategy, right?
Yeah. So don't do that, guys. I've only got 80,000 subscribers, and I'm losing them now because I'm just not good at Instagram. I think I just got too old for it. But you know, like I said earlier in the podcast, like, really look at what you want out of your car, and just think, do I have another car to drive? Okay, check. Am I okay with this car being down for months at a time? Okay, check. You know, like, do I have a tuner and somebody local that can work on this car when it goes down? Check. Okay, maybe after you drive your car for 6 months, if you still want to pull the motor out, go balls to the wall, do it then. But get some good time in that car before you decide to make those kinds of decisions. Because like when that car got here and with the shape it was in, I'm not even kidding. I legitimately thought about selling all my cars. Like it broke my heart.
Oof.
Like,
yeah, that's
you
too
know,
bad.
I mean, I spent 4 years. It was 4 years that I owned it until the time I got it. And to have it show up and just like in such bad condition, you know, not just all the things that were noticeable immediately, but it was seriously like, you know, like one of those things you keep looking and the worse it gets.
Yeah, that is bad.
The wiring was so abysmal. Like, please go watch my video. You will be like, are you serious? You know? Like, and we have like the motor's pulled anyway. We haven't pulled the motor apart yet because Sheldon's been really, really busy. But you know, there's just so much wrong with it. Like it was leaking out of the oil pan, you know, and just like there's somebody who won't make this public because he doesn't want to get sued by a driver, but he got an oil pan welded to his R32. If you don't know, R32 or Skylines have kind of oiling issues. Basically, the oil gets up in the head and it doesn't get down fast enough, and you blow your motor if you're like going around a corner and you're giving it the beans. I'm not really worried about that because I'm in a stock powered R34, so it's not really that big of a worry, and we always put a little bit extra oil in it. But so he's got that with the baffles and all these things, and it leaked. And so he sent it back, and they're like, okay, we welded the fix. They JB welded the fix. And it started leaking again. He sent it back, and he's like, you welded it, right? They're like, yeah, we did. More JB weld. So
wow, dude.
That's insane.
Yeah, I just kept telling people, like, call me. Let's do a video interview, and I will talk to you about your car, and let's talk about your experience. Because the problem is, you know, when you're somebody who's struggling to pay the bill to get your car from a crappy shop who's blown it up twice, and he says, I'm going to sue you, you're like, I don't have money for this. Guess what, bro? I've got 50 times the money you got. You want to sue me?
Yeah.
Let's dance, bro. Like, I will sue you back. And I have like a pamphlet like this thick of stuff that like is just dangerous. It almost feels malicious. But sorry, I got sidetracked. I get so hot with that car. But it literally broke my heart. I can see why. And like a year later, you know, my white R34 gets here, and it sounds good, it looks good, it drives amazing, and you know, I'm slowly getting my love back. And what I'm really hoping is that once we fire up my black car, I will be fully there, and I will be back, and I will love it. But it honestly, like, it was just heartbreaking, and it showed up on Mother's Day, so I couldn't be too down. I'm like, yeah, happy Mother's Day, babe.
Yeah, literally. Man, so okay, hey, before we're done here, we did want to know, you know, you're over there and it's Ogden, right? Ogden, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
So, you know, in Maine, I don't know how much you know about Maine, but like we got like two of the
lighthouse.
Yes, lighthouses. Yeah, and Lobster Bud. Yeah, we have two of like the 6 maybe Skylines in Maine, if that.
Maybe 10 tops.
That's really pushing it. So, but over in Ogden, Utah, what's the car scene like there? Like, how do you get to enjoy it beyond taking it to the track?
Yeah, we've actually got like a pretty awesome car scene. You know, like KTM cars are kind of popping off out here. You know, the Korean domestic market. You know, like the Hyundais and the Kias and the Genesis.
Oh no!
Honestly, man, like I love it because it's mark my words, in 5 to 10 years, like Kia is gonna be like Honda and Toyota. It's gonna be that big. Like they are pushing that hard. You know, so and my whole thing is like if driving, you know, like an Ioniq 5 or whatever makes you hard, drive that thing every day. whatever car you want to drive, just drive it. Just get out there and drive it. But like right down the street from me, we've got this street called Washington Boulevard. You know, that's where everybody cruises on the weekends. You know, if I got to go get a drink, I go 5 miles out of my way to just go take a pass to take a car down there. But, we've got cars and copies every weekend. There's tons of autocross. We've got Utah Motorsports Campus, which is where Formula Drift is when it comes out here. We've got, luckily we don't really do the takeover thing out here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
There's a local company called 𝐼valGTR Collective. They have really kind of stepped up and kind of made like a really good environment for JDM and really just cars in general. And they'll set up cruises that are invite only. So it's like really, really high level cars,
That's cool.
There's a guy in Utah, his name's Supercar Ron. Check him out. I think he's a billionaire. So, he's got Bugattis.
Oh, wow.
If you've ever seen the video of a Pagani Huayra driving in the snow, that's Ron. He had a Midnight Purple 2 R34, which kind of hurt my feelings, but then he sold it and my feelings weren't hurt anymore. So I was like, bro, you got everything else. Please let me have this.
Just this.
Yeah. And so he sold it. Thank you, Ron. But, we've got an awesome car scene out here. And, the drift scene here is incredible. There's a local company called Salt City Drift, and they do like paddock drifting at Utah Motorsports Campus, which is now Burt Brothers Motor Park. We've got this other drift company called Drift Buffet, which is actually now a feeder league for Formula Drift. So they have drift competitions using the Formula Drift layout at Utah Motorsports Campus, which is just super cool. That, and I think having that, it makes more people are drifting. Just in the 2 years that Formula Drift has been here, we've had just a huge increase in people that are going to shows. And something that I really like about the drift community and that I really, really, really like about the track community is, we were down there this past Sunday tracking, and my buddy Casey, Go Fast Racing on Instagram, he's tracking his Honda Civic, and he went off track and his alignment was off. Somebody in his exact same class came up and was like, "Hey, is your alignment off?" He said, "It is." And he goes, "Do you want my tool to help you align it?" And he said, "Yes." He's like, "Would you like my help?" And he got down on his knees and helped him fix his alignment in his car. And he might have not placed at that event because he helped my friend, but that's just kind of the environment that we have out here. And there are 2 R34s that are close to me, but they're both GTTs, and big respect to them. They both have GTT badges. They're not up badge like everybody else.
That's legit.
Good on them.
We've got a really strong community out here, and this is like a formal invitation to you guys. If you guys ever make it to Utah, let's plan this out so that you're out here on a weekend where there's drifting and there's other things going on, so we can get you guys. We've got a Fox body drift car that used to be a Utah Highway Patrol car.
Oh, wow.
We've got the license sirens on it. It's got a 6 LS in it. We hit the track. We drive that thing like crazy. My brother, I don't give a fox on Instagram. he drives that. We've got a black Saleen Mustang. We're currently putting a Barra in.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, and that was like really like cutting edge like a year and a half ago. But now a bunch of dorks are putting them in, so we're not that cool. I'm sorry we're going a little bit over, but I've really enjoyed talking to you guys, and I have done a lot of talking, so I'm sorry if you guys had questions and I just kept mouth vomiting.
No, it was cool, man. You kind of gave us a pretty good overview of kind of just what I asked, where you started and where you're at. But I guess really to end this out, we just need to know what's next, right?
Yeah, what's next?
Yeah, so what's next is I'm going to get a motor in my yellow R32, and I'm going to try to get out to grid life in that. I would really like to get out and put down some serious lap times and hurt some feelings. I want to see how fast I can get with no aero. I was on a reality TV show 2 years ago called Banging Gears that probably will never come out, but it was hosted by Colette Davis, and Adam LZ was my coach, and Mr. JWW.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So basically, it was like JDM cars versus exotic cars. So I was in my twin turbo R32 that was yellow, and I raced against a Ferrari that was also from the 90s that had a twin turbo kit put on it. And I'm not going to give anything away, but I don't lose.
Hell yeah.
I don't lose.
But no, I represented really well. And like what's next for me is just getting out and driving. And I hope that you all that are watching this, drive your cars. You know, it is cool to have a car in the garage. Right now in my garage, I've got a white R34 and a midnight purple 2 R34. Salt Lake City is about 45 minutes from me. I drove it to Salt Lake and back this morning, and I drove it to Salt Lake and back yesterday.
Hell yeah.
Drive your car. That's what they were there for. My purple car came from the UK, so it's been in the rain. People are always like, I can't believe you drive it in the rain. I'm like, dude, this is the least amount of rain it's ever seen.
Yeah.
So, but just like something that I would like to say to you guys is thank you so much for doing this. I think there's a big hole in the podcast market for just kind of doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Street Alpha podcast is awesome. I love his stuff, and he's also really cool. I met him down at GTR Fest, and we're going to get together and do something sometime too. But what you're doing is amazing. Continue to have awesome guests on, and if you guys ever want me to come back, I would love to come back and discuss other things that I like, such as like woodworking and old ships.
Nah, dude, we got to hear from you once that black car is finally on the road and find out what it took, and maybe not money wise, but just, you know, work wise, because I'm sure you got a road ahead of you. You know what I mean? But we'd love to hear about that.
Heck yeah.
Let me do a shout outs before we wrap.
Yeah, and possible. Let us know where to find you.
Okay, so RivalGTR on Instagram, the Rival Garage on YouTube. Please go like, comment, subscribe, do all the things.
Smash that like button.
Yes, dude, stab the like button. Pretend like it owes you money. You know, but you know, shout out to you guys for having Tommy on the channel. I love Tommy. I hung out with him at GTR Fest. Something I really respect about him is there were people down there that had issues with him, and he walked right up to them and they talked it out like it should be talked about. Big shout out to Tommy. You know, he's a friend, and that makes me happy. Shout out to UP Garage. I hit up Eric all the time with questions, and he always gets back to me. You know, I'm sponsored by Vibrant. Thank you guys for the amazing things that you guys make. Massive shout out to Haltech. Haltech makes some of the best ECUs that are really easy to install and really easy to manage and maintain.
Agreed.
Shout out to Midwest Skyline. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but I think he's got a 1,500 horsepower R32.
That's
like,
big.
It is insane. His name's Colby, and he's also somebody that I reach out to. I'm like, hey man, I'm having problems. What spark plug should I be running? What should I gap them to? Because I don't know everything, and I never will pretend like I do. And also, to you people that are like, do it yourself, I can't. That's why I'm paying somebody to do it.
Makes sense.
But, you know, shout out to them. Massive shout out to Adam LZ. He did amazing this weekend at Formula Drift. We've kept in contact since the show ended. You know, me and my brother, we own a tour bus company called Yoda Coach, where we rent coaches out to tour bands. And we've also got a tour bus repair company called Neilson Coach Works. So you can check me out there.
Yeah,
but if I forgot to thank you, just like know from the bottom of my heart, everybody that's involved with my car journey, even, you know, you guys, even though we just met, I hope this isn't the last time I talk to you guys. I hope I get to meet you guys in person. Absolutely. And I really hope I get to make you shit your pants in one of my cars at some point. So come to Utah.
Cool. We'll bring spare undies for sure.
Yeah, wear your brown pants.
Man, Brad, yeah, no, we definitely appreciate this opportunity. As you said, it is cool to meet guys speckled across the world, and we appreciate you bringing us into your little corner of the world there in Utah, man.
Oh, lastly, Platinum Racing Products. Herman.
Got to shout him out.
I don't know how you do it, but you make the coolest stuff, and you make it great. He's been so good about my black car. Like,
probably can see what's going on.
we've had hours of FaceTime calls trying to go through that. So, you know, like I said, thank you guys so much for having me on, and I hope we get to do this again sometime.
Absolutely, Brad. We'll see you soon. I'm confident in that, man. Have a good night.
Awesome. You too.
All right. Peace. Rival's cool.
Dude, super cool.
Yeah, I mean,
cool cars too.
Super cool cars, super cool story. The whole Zoom story, that's a dream, right? For a lot of like working class people to get a job and have it just blow up and be able to retire that early. Like, mad props to him.
Yeah, like he said, he was a DoorDasher and a millionaire in 1 month.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
Pretty wild, dude. I mean, that can happen to anyone that puts in the grind and the work, right?
Yeah, and it's what I notice about guys like him who have found success and maybe aren't so like financially dependent on a job. They're always very like kind of giving and supportive. Like they understand the importance of kind of giving back to the culture. Like he said, like he wants to contribute in any way he can, whether it's with us or in the culture period, to keep people from getting ripped off by places like Driver Motorsports or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I'm loving getting some of these guests on that are ingrained in the culture and have been through these things and can, this is just another way that he can get out the word of like, hey, don't trust a shop too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And also, keep your cars kind of stock if you want to enjoy them.
Yeah.
He was stressing on that. That's something that I've kind of come to realize as well. Like, hey, maybe just leave it alone and it'll start every time.
Yeah, and you can enjoy it.
And you can enjoy it, yeah.
I agree 100%. And yeah, I mean, it does seem like there are a lot of guys, and maybe some of that is UP in his ear. He said he talks to Eric a lot. So like maybe, they're like, hey, keep it stocked.
Yeah, hey, maybe chill a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But
keep
either way, we wish him luck with the black car and everything else he does. And I have a feeling you will see us together again at some point. But for episode 142, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.